everybody, it is Romania Black, and I can't believe we're doing this, but we're on the season finale of season 1 of Chihayafuru. So, first things first, I am going to tell you all, we are going to be taking a break next week. I've got something else on the channel in the works, but I decided a few months ago that in between series, I would take a week off just to kind of refresh and get myself prepared and all of that. So, I will be taking a week off of Chihayafuru next week. There's going to be something on the channel during this time slot. Don't worry. There will be something for you to watch that I'm reacting to. It'll be an extra for the month. But then the following week, we will return and start season 2, which I'm pretty excited about. Now, also for season 2, before you even decide to comment it as you're crunching your knuckles, getting your fingers ready, the moderator has already talked about me. Also already talked about it with me, and I know that there is a recap episode in season 2. The moderator's already told me which one it is, and so I'll be watching that episode along with the one after it, like I did in this season. So I'm already prepped. I'm ready to go, but we are going to take a week off, have an extra on the channel to let folks catch up, take a breather before we dive into season 2 of Chihayafuru, and I'm super excited about that. Also, it'll give Noda a chance to get the rest of the poems in for this season because basically it'll give Noda a chance to get the rest of the poems in because we are on episode 22's poem in this episode. So episode 22's poem of the day is called Just As My Beauty Has Faded. Oh, what a tearjerker that episode was. Poem 9 is written, and my mouth is going dry, so I'm going to have to hydrate here. Poem 9 is written by Ono no Komachi, one of the most revered women in Japanese history for her beauty and poetry, one of the 6 immortals. To this day, the word Komachi is still synonymous with feminine beauty in Japan, with legends of her beauty circulated. In fact, much of her life, apart from the names of the men she was involved with romantically, many chronicled in poetry are actually not known, adding to the grandeur of her legacy. In one famous story, she promised to love a certain suitor if he visited her 100 nights in a row. He completed 99 visits, but failed one night to visit her and was so distraught that he fell ill and died. Ono no Komachi's life and legends grew to become the subject of many no plays and art. In terms of poetry, almost all of Komachi's extant poems are melancholic, focusing on anxiety, solitude, or passionate love. Not at all tying to any of our 3 main characters, or mainly Taichi. Poet and translator Kenneth Rexroth and Ikuko Atsumi said of her poetry, "Her beauty may be legendary, but her rank as one of the greatest erotic poets in any language is not. Her poems begin the extreme verbal complexity which distinguishes the poetry of the Kokinshu anthology from the presentational immediacy of the Manyoshu." Poem 9 is absolutely that. Porter translates it as, "The blossom's tint is washed away by heavy showers of rain. My charms, which once I prized so much, are also on the wane. Both bloomed, alas, in vain." I picked his translation as it seemed to preserve most of the wordplay that characterizes poem 9. Mosto describes his poem as a technical tour de force as well. The third line, meaning in vain, could technically modify either the previous line or the one after, or both. Also, the poem uses wordplay around furu, which could mean to either fall, as in rain, or to pass time, while nagame could mean both to gaze lost in thought or long rains. Nagame, as Mostel explains. Porter, the first and last couplets may mean either the blossom's tint fades away under the continued downpour of the rain of the world, or the beauty of this flower, i.e. herself, is fading away as I grow older and older in this life. While the third line dividing the 2 couplets means that the flower's tint and her own beauty are alike only in vanity, this verse, with its double meaning running throughout, is an excellent example of the characteristic Japanese play upon words. Moreover, Gilt, for Noda, a now defunct website about waka poems, adds, "The central image of the fading cherry blossoms is a conventional reference to the transience of human life. The conceit was already sufficiently established in Komachi's day for the reader to understand that flower, or hana, referred specifically to cherry blossoms. Structurally, the poem is broken grammatically after the second line, a technique called nikugire, which makes use of tochicho, or grammatical inversion. The first two lines would normally follow the last three to increase the dramatic effect. The poem ties into Yumi's shine being washed away from her, jaded from her loss to Shinobu. The hallmarks for her play are all learned and not natural, in juxtaposition to the younger crowd, leaving her feeling silly and helpless. Everything that she worked for was in vain, as she reached the pinnacle of Karuta, but was not able to defend her title. Fornoto says, apparently this is one of Macmillan, another translator of Japanese poems, favorite poems. He went so far as to saying this poem is striking for its technical brilliance. Almost every word is embroidered with many layers of meaning. In other words, the poet is saying something like, yes, I am growing old and less beautiful than I once was. Maybe you, the superficial male, readers will no longer find me attractive. But if you have a minimum of discernment, you would be able to see under my disguise and realize that the sadness of life has only sharpened my genius. That's such a great poem for Yumi. It's such a great poem for Yumi. I think that works so well. I love that. That's amazing. Great poem. And thank you so much, Fornoda, for the awesome translation and discussion of that. That's really cool. Thank you very much. So also thank you all. I have enjoyed Chihayafuru so much. This series, season 1, we still got one episode to go, but it has just floored me with how much I've instantly attached myself to these characters. It's like Fruits Basket, but a sports anime. It's like if Fruits Basket, March comes in like a lion, got together and then said, let's just be a sports anime and have the love triangle and all that. I love it. I love it so much. So thank you so much for all your support and kindness. I'm super excited to dive into this episode and see what we get. But with that being said, we're not going to waste any more time. We are going to dive right into Chihayafuru. I love that we get 25 episodes. Such a great feeling. We're going to do episode 25 here in 3, 2, 1, and I'll see you all. This was just a lovely season finale. I love the bookending, everything, everybody being motivated, wanting to work harder to get to their next goal. This was a great finale to season 1. We should talk about it. Sorry, my dog was having me throw his toy the entire time. He was going, and I was like, wait, I'm trying to watch the episode. So hopefully that was okay. As he's fighting me now for his toy and get it back. Anyway, so we get to meet Suo. Suo is interesting. Oddly enough, it's so funny. When we started the matches with Shinobu, I viewed Shinobu as extremely intimidating. But then watching the match against Shinobu and Yumi, Shinobu is still very intimidating in the sense that she's a very good player. But there was something very humanizing about the match, and it was the fact that we got to get into Shinobu's backstory. We got to get into her head, and we got to see her upbringing, and that she just loves the cards, and that she has the heart of the cards, right? And so that helps to make her such a good player. And I feel like getting to humanize Shinobu and know her character better last episode made her feel more tangible as an opponent and someone that can be beaten, right? And I would say the same thing with Suo. It's kind of like once the mystery is gone, you sort of look at the character and go, oh, they're just a person. So Suo is just as human as Shinobu. And I would argue, I honestly don't view Suo as intimidating as Shinobu, because you kind of get the gist of what he is from this episode alone. He's just really good and consistent at what he does. He's what Chihaya needs to be. And I say that in the sense of Chihaya needs to be confident and consistent. Pick a lane, pick a style, be confident and consistent in yourself. And that is half the battle, right? You can't imitate everybody else. You can't, you can learn from them. You can learn how to combat their styles, but you can't imitate everybody else. And I feel like a lot of season 1 has been Chihaya being like, oh, well, this character won using this, so I'm going to try their strategy. And then, but it's not Chihaya, so it doesn't work. And then Chihaya has been trying all these various strategies that people that have beaten her use. And that's great to try it out. But when it doesn't fit right, it's not going to be to your benefit. And so she finally meets Suo, which I feel she's made a connection with in terms of his technique and what he does. And this match, I'm like, okay, Suo is less intimidating than I feel. The moment he was like flirting with the reader, I was like, oh, okay, you're just a dude. But he's really good. He's very good. And he's kind of smarmy in his sense that he knows he's going to win. And that's half the battle. If you know you're going to win, you have the upper hand, right? You have the advantage. And Arata's grandpa in postmortem, talks from beyond the grave about that. But I like Suo's character. I wish he'd get rid of that chin strap and finish school. Those guys were getting onto him about finishing college. I'm like, let the man breathe. He's a 4-time master. Let him go. But he is really good. Basically, he is what would happen if Kana and Chihaya fused into one entity and were the master of their craft. That's literally it. Because while Suo has the same kind of strategy as Chihaya to use the 1-syllable cards to recognize him, he has a keen ear. Now, is his hearing as good as Chihaya's? I don't know. And he doesn't really say that in the episode that his hearing is especially good. But from being the master, he has been able to hear the top readers read in those matches. And he's also kind of combined, like, he's taken a shot of Chihaya, a shot of Kana, and like a dash of Taichi, because he has memorized those sounds. And because the readers say them so well, he's able to immediately differentiate and be like, oh, that's that sound. That's that syllable. They have to read perfectly. So because they read perfectly, they're the perfect people to do the match for and to like base that off of. And I love when Chihaya has her ears and she's trying to listen too. That was super cute. I loved that. So yeah, so Suo's fun. He's an interesting character. I really can't wait to learn more about him, that he has the 28 syllable words. I'm going to miss this OP. I want to go back through it one more time because I can't believe I've been watching this show for like 6 months with y'all, and to watch it week to week and see this OP, it's going to be sad when we get a new one next, like in a couple weeks. It's going to be sad, but oh, I love it. So sad to miss it. Anyway. So, Moonlight, clear and bright. We did get a lot of Arata in this episode, which connects to the Moonlight. But I also like the idea of the Moonlight sort of representing the path forward is clear. The night sky is upon us. It's not the dawn of a new day yet. That'll be, with the start of season 2. But the night is upon us, but the way forward is clear. Like, we know what we have to do. We've got to train, we got to practice, we've got to somehow recruit 5 new members and double our team, which we'll talk about when we get to that scene. I was like, oh my God. The coach in me was panicking on the behalf of the Empress, but we'll get to that. But yeah, so there are 21 other cards that Suo can recognize by the first syllable. To know, like, he can say, which, you know what? Honestly, when Suo breaks it down, it doesn't seem that complicated. You just have to know, you have to memorize, okay, this is the sound of the letters. This is the sound of that. This is my game sense. Once I hear that word, I'll go for it. But he's not imperfect. I thought this episode was really good at showcasing how Suo is human. He's beatable. You just gotta outplay him not outplay him at his own game, but you gotta outplay him using your game. So that's the trick, right? But I feel like he probably intimidates a lot of players because they think, oh, well, that they hear, 28 syllable cards. There's no way. You just gotta figure out a way to get to the card before he does. And however works for you is gonna be the way to do that. I love Arata on his bed playing. He's on his bed. Like, now we see it over there. He's on his bed playing Karuta with the little TV beside it on the cart. Oh, I love that. I love that he was thinking of that. Now, It's kind of a little bit interesting when he cleans out the ear with his finger. That's sort of a play of him trying to like prep to hear, but he does it in a way that's kind of like a little bit smarmy, and everybody else is like, oh, he has the best sense of all the current players. He looks like Matthew Lillard in his Scooby-Doo days with the chin strap. He's not an intimidating looking guy. Like Shinobu has this serene presence where she just looks calm, cool, and collected. He just looks like a bro, but he's really good. He's really talented, right? He's not what I expected. Who is Suo's voice actor? Voice actor, Chihayafuru. Who is his voice actor? It is voiced by Taichi Hiroki. Who does he voice? Hiroki Tochi. Who does he voice that we would know of? He's been voicing for a long time. Oh, he's Ginjo in Bleach. Okay. What else has he been in recently that I would know? Oh, wow. He's in a lot of things in 2023. Let's see. He's been in Freerun. Oh, he's Hater in Freerun. Okay. Okay. Where is that, where I've heard his voice before? Because I was trying to think of where have I heard his voice. His voice sounded pretty familiar. Maybe it was from Freerun. Let's see if there's anything. Oh, he's Sugo in Psycho-Pass. That's where I've heard it from. Okay, he's in Psycho-Pass as Sugo. Okay, I was like the whole time he was talking, and he's also Kataoka in Ace of the Diamond. There we go. The whole time that Suo was talking, I was like, I've heard this voice before. Where have I heard it? But yeah, he's Sugo in Psycho-Pass and Kataoka in Ace of the Diamond. That deep voice, that's where I've heard it from. I was like, where is this fun? But yeah, nope, that makes a lot of sense. Okay. I like they say he has the best sense of all the players. And then he's like eating the earwax and they're like, but his sense is so lame. That, you know what? I like that they show, okay, everyone on here that is thinking he's lame. Like Pseudo, and the biggest ones are Harata, Taichi, Pseudo, and Nishida that are thinking he's lame. There's Muko or Muro in the back that's just like, I lost to that guy. Then there's Tsutomu and Kana. There's Retro-kun. There is Shinobu's pouring the tea like, And then there's the one Arata's teacher. The funny thing is, the two that don't talk about his sense being lame are Chihaya and Arata. Because they would never. Because they're so innocent and kind, right? They would never do that. But I love that shot of all of them there. So yeah. So Suo is just very confident. And he knows he has a skill. And he knows he's good at reading. And he knows he has a shot. And meanwhile, his opponent is just, he did not stand a chance. And he's like, I love you, Kyoko-tan. I love that he blushes and the woman's like, oh God. So he's a little bit of a womanizer, maybe a little bit of a womanizer. And she's like, dear Lord, maybe a little bit of a cougar chaser. Of all the certified readers, Kyoko-tan is the one who loves the Japanese language the most. So he's like, I'm going to use that to my advantage. The way that she says the words, they're all the same, but she sees the different images when she reads the cards and it comes out. So you know what? Tsutomu, you better hope that Kana doesn't ever meet this guy, because this guy and Kana might hit it off with their love of literature and the cards. You better hope, Tsutomu, that she don't meet him. But yeah, so he's, a fourth year in college, and they're begging him to graduate, and he's like, yeah, when I'll get to it, which I advise for college, and I'm like, you know what? In college, if you need to stay longer than however long you need, you do you. You do you. There's no set in stone amount of time you have to spend in college. He's like, I may be the only one who can tell the difference. But here's the thing. He says he may be the only one who can tell the difference. But then it cuts to Chihaya. And I love that shot of her gripping her pillow and her hair going everywhere. She sees the vision. I love it. I love the idea that Chihaya is like, oh my God. I mean, Nishida was right. Nishida was like, you might appreciate this guy's style of playing. I feel like Chihaya could learn a lot from Suo, not Pseudo, but from Suo. But I feel like she comes at it from a much, more heartfelt place. Although, here's the thing about Suo. We get a little touch of smarm, but he doesn't come across as arrogant like I thought he would be from the last episode. He doesn't come across as arrogant. He seems like he genuinely does like Karuta, which is really cool because the guy that he's facing, when he's out there, he's like, oh, I'm just mad at Karuta. I'm like, well, you're going to lose. So Suo seems that he likes Karuta. He just also is a tactician that knows, he's like a fox. He knows he's good and he knows he's figured out the game. He's cracked the code. And so he kind of he feels confident about that. And Chihaya is inspired, but at first she seems doubtful that she can compete to that level. She's like, oh my gosh, well, he's mastered it. Who am I? And Taichi's like, he's on a completely different level, right? What are we supposed to do against him? They aren't they exaggerating about 28 one-syllable cards? And she's trying to listen to. I like Chihaya hasn't given up. She's just trying to like pay attention. And then we see, is it Mukuo or Muro? I'm always get his name wrong. Is it Murao? Yeah, Murao, right? Murao. Yeah, I think it's Murao. But he has twin brothers, Kenta and Yuta, which shout out to the parents for not giving them matching names. Good job. But they are identical twins, Yuta and Kenta. They're so mean to their big brother. Also, their big brother by many years. So that's fun. But yeah, I like that he kind of gets inspired to go and play against Arata, which is fun. And he also says nobody wins in a fight between twins. I want to apply that to Haikyuu so bad. Nobody wins in a fight against twins. I want to apply that to Haikyuu so badly. That should be a meme. That the picture of him between the twins should be a meme. It's so good. I love it. I didn't put up a fight. It's our fault for leaving him alone out there. Alone. And then we cut to Arata being alone. Interesting. Interesting indeed that there's a little bit of connection there, right? And then I think that when he thinks of alone, he probably thinks of Arata and is like, shit, I need to go help him practice, right? So yeah, I love Arata just playing along, saying you can't gamble like that, and like looking at the master's positioning and seeing what the opponent is doing. He's sacrificing his multiple syllable cards. I love Arata breaking it down on his bed. That's so fun. He's like, I can't afford to lose to those. And so then he looks like up, he's like, the master has an advantage. An overwhelming advantage in the master match. I like he looks up there at all the trophies that he's won. Which, dear God, Arata, that's a lot. Arata, you know what? I want to give a shout out to Arata, because Arata, for winning as much as he has, is really a humble and kind person who does not let it go to his head. And that's a rare thing. That's a rare trait, to not let that fame go to your, and notoriety go to your head. Good for Arata. So he talks about how the master has an advantage in the match. The first opponent for a new challenger is the pressure of sitting on that stage. And so he sees his grandfather in that moment. And he's like, I know. So yeah, so it's basically like, you know, the master does have an advantage because he's in his environment. He's seasoned in that environment. And the person coming up is the challenger who has the pressure of dethroning the master, which we have talked about the pressure. It's interesting that we talk about that Arata is talking about Suo having an advantage when the show has deliberately presented us with Yumi, who had the opposite, where she had the pressure of maintaining the title, which makes her loss all the more heartbreaking. She only had it that one time, and then Shinobu came and snatched it away. But man, I love Arata envisioning himself against Suo. I love the blue, that like kimono that yukata looks like water. I love it. He's like, I can do it. I can do it, but I can't visualize everything. I love that what Arata says is it's not that he can't visualize winning against Suo, because he can. But right now, he can't visualize all of Suo's moves. He needs to practice against strong opponents to be able to compete at that level. You can't just practice at home by yourself and expect to hold out. Well, you would think that, but Shinobu kind of proves that point right. So it's so fascinating. What's so fun about this series is that the series doesn't suggest that there's one way to play Karuta, and it doesn't suggest that there's one way to win. So for Arata's like, I need to go out and face strong opponents or I'm not going to get better. Arata is like a visual learner. He needs to face other people. He's like, I can't just grind against an MCP and then be fine, right? Whereas Shinobu's perfectly fine playing alone. It doesn't bother her, and she clearly does well. So it's interesting in this series to see how Karuta shows there's not just one way to win, and there's not just one way to train and become strong. There's a lot of ways. So that's really cool. But anyway, so then his strengths are simple but consistent. How long will the streak continue? Only visualizing only goes so far. And Arata's like, I have to practice or my body won't know how to move. So then we have the trophies. Man, the consolation trophy in contrast to the main trophy is a pretty big difference there. But yeah. So I liked that when we looked at the differences between the two players, Yumi, looks kind of like she's resigned, but she's just like, well, sucks to be here today. Shinobu's just like, whatevs, I won. Suo is the least emotional of the lineup. The one guy, he just looks like he needs a massage himself. And so these guys come up to Suo. I'm presuming they're like mentors or whatever. They're like, congrats on your 4th victory. And they're like, please try to graduate from college next year. And he's like, yeah. A little more confidence, please. And he says, yeah. So it's interesting. He seems rather dejected and just kind of like, So I would be curious to know more about Suo. I'm kind of fascinated by him. He seems like a bro, but I want to know more about him. Meanwhile, her coach, Shinobu's, she's like, oh, hello, Coach Issei. And then he says, you could come practice with us. I don't know why I'm yawning. And when you get the chance. And her answer is, oh, that would be an honor. Once I've gotten a little stronger, I'll stop by. And he's like, oh, I see. So she gives this answer that comes across as polite, but these other guys speculate saying stronger than she already is. She's telling him that she won't go. Kyoto women are all the same. I was like, well, tell us like it is, sir. But, maybe it's basically like him saying city girls, they just pass off you like that. And it's like, well, I mean, she could be a bitch and say, no, I don't want to play with your weak ass players. But instead she was nice and polite and was like, yeah, well, I'll practice a little more and come that way. She gave the very passive aggressive, like, yeah, I'll come, but I'm not really going to. She could have been a witch about it. So y'all need to shut your traps. Now, I do like Kitano saying, I may be biased, but as a coach, he's like, I would rather have Yumi saying, how much she appreciated him and appreciated his teachings. He's like, those are the most beautiful words I will ever hear. And so I think it's interesting. He says, I don't know if it's coincidence or fate, but the current master and queen have no teacher figures. So she's like, oh, Suo seems like a womanizer. He's like, standing next to a lady. Yeah. And Shinobu's like, ugh, no. I absolutely love it. It's ridiculous. Also, kudos to Suo. But yeah, what was her face like there at the end? Like, we want you guys to stand next to each other for a picture. And she's like, yeah. And she's like, But then he says, what a waste. A person who never had a teacher can't become a teacher. Now, you know how I like to be a little contrarian sometimes. That's an interesting concept. So Kitano's mindset is that if you didn't have a mentor, you've not learned anything that you can pass down to others. So he's basically saying because Suo and Shinobu don't have any teacher figures themselves, there's nothing for them to pass down. But I think that logic is a little flawed for a couple reasons. One, Kitano is basing that knowledge on the fact that he's seen that neither of them go to a Karuta society with a teacher. Shinobu has had a teacher, not just Coach Issei, but her grandmother. And Kitano doesn't know that. So again, this series, I love a lot of the themes of it, but there is something about it. A lot of it is relying a little bit on unreliable narrators. Like, not all the characters know the backstories of other characters. So Kitano doesn't know that Shinobu's been having her grandmother teach her as she grew up. And Suo, I mean, who knows what's going on behind the surface with him. But to his point, I get what he's saying. He's like, because these two are self-taught, will they be able to pass on anything to the next generation? Or are they just going to be these bright stars that burn out and have nothing to contribute in teaching to Karuta? But again, I think that can be flawed because these two may end up teaching other people. You don't know. So it's a little bit of an old mindset of thinking that, you know, we have to create this legacy and pass things down from one person to the next. But things can skip generations and new legacies can be born, and you just don't, you know, experience is different. So I think Kitano's reasoning is a little bit flawed, but I get where he's coming from. And these two may not have the incentive to teach because they weren't taught themselves. They had to be self-learners as far as Kitano knows. So that's interesting. That's interesting. We'll just have to see, right? We'll just have to see. But anyway, so everybody's just like, man, that was a bloodbath. And then the mom's like, okay, time for the peasants to go home. It's 6 o'clock. Get out of my house. So as they're walking back, Chihaya gets a little bit down on herself because she says she's not good enough. And Nishida and Kana don't know exactly what to say. But damn it, Tsutomu, you want to talk about being the MVP? You want to talk about being the MVP of this episode. Tsutomu saying 20. Misayase, you have 20 one-syllable cards that you can use. Taichi, you taking notes? Taichi, you taking notes? The kid that's a platonic friend to Chihaya is helping her out more than you right now, sir. And I don't want to give Taichi too hard of a time. Taichi's too busy having a phone conversation with his could-be boyfriend, Arata. And then I like the Taichi's like, how am I supposed to stay motivated? What should I do? Well, what does he do? He calls up Arata. And Arata answering the phone with the little blush and the stutter of Taichi. Mangaka, you're not fair. Mangaka, this isn't fair. Mangaka, you can't just have like the last 3 episodes be Taichi laboring over woe is me, Chihaya doesn't love me, but I love her. And then you have him call up Arata and Arata answers his phone's like, oh, hello? You can't do that. You can't do that to us. They are so... why is it the one time? Why is it the one time Romania should be shipping a BL? It's like, I'm hesitant. Why is it the one time? I think it's because the show clearly, in my mind, is trying to make it to where it's going to be an Arata or Taichi with Chihaya moment. And so when they tease us with the Arata and Taichi moments, I'm like, but you're not going to go this route. So why am I getting all worked up, show? But I do. If it was Arata and Taichi, would support 1,000%. Would support 1,000%. I really would. Because Arata is the nicest guy. He's just such a nice guy. Taichi has a little bit of a villain streak in him. He's got a little bit of a villain streak in him. And I'm like, you better watch it, son. Arata is an angel and Taichi is a devil. Just you wait. Just you wait. But Taichi is so sweet. And he's like, Happy New Year. And Taichi's like, oh, it's a little late for that. Taichi's giving me some vibes. And I'm like, I don't know where we're going with this. So he asked him if he watched the match. And he's like, yeah. And so then Arata goes into saying, I've been doing some thinking about how the Masters, about his card positioning. If I were there in the person, how would I play? And Taichi's like, oh my God. Taichi realizes that Arata's doing this homework. And he's envisioning himself playing the matches. And he's like, are you playing with cards by yourself in Master Wataya's room? So that's okay. Oh, wow. Okay. It just hit me. He was in his grandpa's room. Oh, that's all the trophies and everything. Okay, that makes so much sense. I thought for a second they were all Arata's trophies from when he had played in grade school. And I was like, that's a lot of trophies. But no, this is his grandpa's room. Oh my God. All the symbolism there. All the symbolism there. I love it. I love it. So then Muro shows up and he's like, you haven't grown up, have you? Let's play. And Arata's just like, okay. Like Arata and Chihaya are such angel beings. They're so sweet. They're so kind. They just want to play Karuta with people, and they're so unashamed of it. And Taichi's over here like, oh. Which we'll talk about when he practices. But I did feel bad for Taichi that Arata's like, hey, my former mentor's on the phone. I gotta go. I have to give it a shot. So I felt for Taichi that his phone conversation with Arata was cut short, but damn. Mm-hmm. But again, Tsutomu is such a real one. Tsutomu going through all the practice games and all the notes and writing out for her all of the one-syllable cards that she had gotten. He's so awesome. I love this. And he's like, I think these are all the cards that you can take. And she's like, oh, this is a lot. I love when she puts her little head down there. She's like, do I really recognize them? Because Chihaya's kind of been doubting herself. She had such confidence going into this season, and she's been doubting herself a lot. And Tsutomu's like, look, you and Master Suo are not the only ones who can do this. There are others with good game sense. Hiroshi and Shinobu, that little kid you beat up. Like, they've all got game sense too. They can anticipate the next sound. But he's like, so can you. So he's like, I believe in you. Oh, I love it. I love her being like, and she wants to give him the candy as a reward. And he's like, oh, I don't want this. And she's like, here, I'll pay you back in the future. Chihaya is like, she's just so kind and thankful for Tsutomu. It's so sweet. I love it. It's awesome. And so you know what? All the guys in this school are lame. All of the guys in this school that are lame. Nope, this is the problem. This is the problem. They make the Romeo Michelle high school reunion mistake. They make the mistake. The girl they think is quirky and weird in school, she's going to be a drop-dead bombshell, more so than she already is in like 5 years, and you guys will have peaked in high school. Lame. They don't see Chihaya's true inner beauty. They're not worthy of her. They are not worthy. Like, ugh, get out of here. So then, yeah, she's memorizing all the one-syllable words. And I love when Kana gets close up next to her. And then you see Chihaya she's so moved. The number isn't important. What matters is, trust me. She's like, Destomu-kun figured it out for me. I love it. I love that she's so thankful for him. He was able to tell me what I was hearing. And I love that shot of Kana just standing beside her. I hope I'm able to return the favor someday. Oh, it's so sweet. I love it. I love it so much. So Kana has a dream. Kana's like, she's so inspired. She's like, the poetrification of words was as natural as birds and animals crying out. As long as emotion is there, a short phrase can sound like a poem. Which birds are like Chihaya's thing. The bird flying through the sky. So Kana scares her and she's like, oh my God, you freaked me out standing there. And then she talks about, she's like, it's okay if you're acting weird. She's like, I have a dream now. I want to become a certified reader. And I want to read for your queen match. I hope she does. Mangaka, I know that you finished this series. If I don't see Kana reading at one of Chihaya's queen matches, I will be upset. And honestly, we're going to talk about how long it takes to become a certified reader. If the show doesn't let Chihaya become a queen until the very end of the series, and the last chapter is like Kana standing there reading for her, and she's about to become queen, if that's what we get at the end of the manga, I'm fine with that. I'd be fine with that ending. I'd be good with that. But I hope it happens before then. I hope it happens before like the last chapter. But she's like, oh, wow, that's awesome. Do your best, Kana. She's like, you have to become a Class A certified player to read. And then I love that she's like, What? And then it just repeats, you have to be a Class A player to become a certified reader. Like just, and Chihaya's crying, and then Kana just slowly like sinks like Taichi into the bottom of the ocean. Hilarious. So, as they're setting up, Kana goes through the task of becoming a certified reader. So you have to be at least a grade 4 Class A player, which she could do within this year. You have to have 5 years of experience as an official Class A reader. And there are multiple requirements for becoming an official Class A reader. So she cannot become a certified reader for at least 6 more years. Oh. Which, I mean, you know what? If Chihaya becomes the queen and stays the queen, and she gets to read at one of her matches, that would be amazing. But hey, it's a dream. It's a goal. She's like, I would have to devote my... And this felt like such a high school thing to say. Like, literally, it's going to take her 6 years minimum to become a certified reader. But she's like, I'd have to devote my entire life. That's such something that a 17-year-old would say. I'm like, girl, you'll be in your mid-20s by the time you could be a certified reader. Like, come on. It's not your entire life. But the president is working so hard. This was such a backhanded compliment. It's like, man, Taichi cannot catch a break in this series. She's like, oh, or even our president, he's trying so hard and he can't even make Class A. Girl, if it's this mangaka, try it, Kana. You'll probably make Class A before Taichi. Just because this mangaka wants to torture him, you know. So she's like, oh, it seems impossible. But then Taichi practicing the swings. He's like a damn peacock exhibiting all his feathers at once. No, I loved this. Taichi practicing his swing where everybody else is like, oh, you thought it'd be so embarrassing. What inspires Taichi? Arata inspires Taichi. Because when he's on the phone, Arata's like, yeah, I was sitting on my grandpa's bed with my Karuta cards out here getting everything matched. Arata has no shame. Arata loves Karuta, has no shame about his love for it, and is like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to win. And Taichi was suddenly like, well, damn, I need to step up my game and also do whatever it takes. I like that in this moment, Taichi realizes, I cannot hold myself back and just accept that I have this cool image to uphold, and I don't want to... Taichi's like, no, throw that away. I want to be a master, so this is what I've got to do. I love it. He's like, my grandpa always used to tell me, you don't need game sense to play Karuta. Which is interesting, because that's what everybody's been talking about in this episode, is game sense. And Arata's like, my grandpa says you don't need that. You just need to take the cards faster than your opponent. That's all you got to do. You just got to beat them. It's difficult to achieve a similar level of game sense, but there are plenty of other ways to take cards faster. I freaking love that. Arata's like, look, I'm not going to try to imitate anybody, because do you know how hard that would be? Everybody has their own unique style. If I try to be as good as somebody else at their game, I'm never going to catch up. But there are ways I can take cards faster than other people. I just got to figure out what works for me. And I feel like Taichi needed to hear that, because Taichi's whole thing is that he's been trying to catch up to Arata, and he's been so caught up in, I can't catch up to Arata because Arata is so much ahead of me. And then what Arata just told Taichi is, you're not ever going to catch up to me. You've just got to get good enough to get on my level. And and then he's like, okay, I got to train with my mentor. And so then he's like, Arata. Now, and Chihaya's like, oh, Taichi's practicing. Okay. It's difficult to achieve a similar level of game sense, which then he imitates Pseudo, which that's a whole different thing. But there are ways to take the cards faster. So he's like, if I win this game today, I'll burn all the daddy bears at your house. And she's like, what? Chihaya's like, why are you doing this? Why are you getting me all riled up? Why? Poor daddy bear. What did he do? Why would you burn them? He's like, there goes 10% of her concentration. This is why Pseudo acts like a sadist. I see now. He's like, Arata, in your world, there's no such thing as a genius. Call me again. Oh, Taichi with that smile on his face. Taichi with that smile. That smile is deadly. That smile is dangerous. That smile could get you in a lot of trouble. Oh, that's a villain smile. I don't know if I like that smile. That's a villain smile right there. That's an Eisen smile. Mm-mm. And then he does like the thing where he's like, I really hoped I don't have to burn your daddy bears. And Chihaya's like, but why are you being like Pseudo? Taichi, do not go the villain route. We don't need you to do that. Don't become Eren. The president's turning into a sadist. Oh, I don't want him to be like that. But yeah, Chihaya's like, okay, ha ha ha. You're funny, but now like the mood is done. Let's play this game. I do like with Kana, she talks to herself about how there's such a method to reading the cards, which even the method of reading the cards, you don't even think about it throughout the whole season. And then the way she explains, it's like, yeah, there is a certain pattern. You have to do it a certain way or you'll mess up. And I don't like how hard Kana is on herself, but I feel like she's understanding that she has a long way to go, which is really sweet. And when they said, since I could not hide my love, and that's the one where Chihaya and Taichi spread the cards, I was like, come on now. Come on now. Uh-huh. She's like, the president's going to make Class A one day, so I don't want to give up on my dream either. So then there's the budget scheduling. Now, do I understand why they would want to give the space to the band because there's 40 of them versus the 5 Karuta players? Yeah, I've been on budget committees before. That makes a lot of sense. But I appreciate the Empress standing up and supporting, being like, oh, and girl pulled the card. Girl pulled the card. We had something similar. I had a board meeting for our administration that I went to, and we had a very small team last year, and compared to like baseball and basketball teams on campus. And they were like, well, but you guys, you only have so many members. And I was like, yeah, but we're like a nationally ranked team. Like we win nationals and stuff. Like, what do those, like, no offense to the baseball team and the basketball teams, but what conferences have they won? I'm just saying, we've won our tournaments. What about them? And it's like, yeah. So I don't blame her at all for pulling that card. But let me tell you, when the one literature teacher says, if you can get 5 new members, we'll let you have the space, my heart dropped to my stomach because doing recruitment for our own team, that's hard. And especially because, I coach a competitive public speaking team. So I kind of relate to Karuta a little bit in that it's a very niche hobby. It's very, the things you learn from speech, you can apply to anything in life. And it's so helpful. But convincing like a young kid to get into it, you have to sell it. You have to I feel like once students get into it, and if they like it, they love it. But you've got to get into it. And it's kind of like Karuta. Like once you get into it, then you realize how great it is. But that there's a curve there. And so I'm really nervous, in all honesty. The only thing I'm nervous about next season is them getting 5 new players on the team. I mean, I'm all for us getting new characters. That would be great. But the 5 new members, that's going to be tricky. And so then we go back to the very beginning. And so we get the notice in the door. I like that she hand wrote an emoticon. I would have done that too, Empress. I feel you. But they have a budget now of 30,000 yen. So how much is that budget? I mean, for a high school budget, 30,000 sounds like a lot. $200, that's for a high school budget. That's pretty good. Yep. And I love that Kana's like, yes, we can buy things. So we go full circle back to the beginning where she's putting up the Karuta sign. She has the pins in her mouth. These guys are lame. For them to not think she's like how does her being quirky affect how pretty she is? Y'all are just looking at surface level beauty. You don't deserve Chihaya. You're not worthy of her. But yeah, I like that. I do love that the Empress said she was embarrassing herself because her grades were so terrible. Girl can't help it. And then we get the montage of season 1. Loved it. Loved all of it. I do love when Taichi and her hug after that one match. It was so cute. And his face was so sweet. But yeah. So they gave us a nice little equilibrium of Taichi to Arata ratio for shipping. They gave us a nice little equilibrium there. But yeah. So then I like the Empress is like, oh, by the way, put another flyer down there. We really want the members. And then she's like, oh, let's play Karuta. I want them to get the members. And I cannot wait for season 2. It's going to be so much fun. I'm ready. The thing is, you need Taichi to be the one to recruit. Chihaya ain't going to recruit because these teenage boys are thinking with their penises, not with their brains. So they're going to be a little bit harder unless they just, Nishida already had a history with Karuta, and Tsutomu basically was wooed into the game because it was presented to him as a way to help him academically, and then it transitioned from there. And with Kana, they appeased her literature side and potential Yuri side of that too. So they need Taichi to do some promotion. Taichi needs to be the marketer of this, right? He needs to be our salesman, and maybe they'll do that next season in the first couple episodes. We'll see. Hey, if Free Iwatobi Swim Club can do it, so can Chihaya. So we'll see where that goes. But thank you all so much for not only voting for this show, because I love it and I have so much fun. I look forward to watching it. Like, I have a set time every week that I watch this show, and I look forward every week to watching it. Next week, we're going to have something else on the channel. Just take a breather, take a break, ready ourselves for season 2. I know I'm going to be doing that. But anyway, that's going to be the plan. So I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe. Take care. I cannot wait to hear your thoughts down below of what you thought of season 1. And I'm so excited for season 2. It's going to be a lot of fun. But I will see you all very soon with more Chihayafuru.